That was a sort of magical time in my life doing that. I mean, it's like a dream when you're there. It's those incredible beaches, that incredible life.
There is a terrifying secret that the producers of Death in Paradise never want you to realize. The weekly murders are merely a cover for a ruthless cleansing ritual. Every detective who arrives here carries a hidden emotional wound, and the island refuses to let go of them until it forces them to face their deepest fears. The moment they find healing or love, they are immediately expelled from paradise or ruthlessly murdered. Why does a dream job turn into a nightmare that forces every detective to flee? Let us uncover the dark secret behind this island. Richard Poole. When Death in Paradise first premiered to audiences, lead detective Richard Poole immediately became the center of attention due to his complete contrast with the tropical atmosphere of St. Marie Island.
Was it unusual for him to be violent towards you in that way?
Amidst the sun-drenched scenery, crystal clear blue beaches, and the slow, leisurely pace of the local residents, Richard always appeared in a thick three-piece suit, meticulously tied tie, down to the last detail alongside the characteristic cranky attitude of a genuine London civil servant. Hidden beneath that fastidious exterior and endless complaints lay a brilliant mind with an astonishingly sharp capacity for case analysis.
300 days a year, you shine 10 hours a day! And the one time I actually want you to shine!
Richard approached every matter with cold, logical reasoning, never letting go of even the most minor detail, no matter how accidental. Lead actor Ben Miller once shared about his time playing this character in an interview with The Telegraph with clear nostalgia. "That was truly a magical period in my life. A wonderful dream when you are there with those unbelievable beaches and that special lifestyle. In reality, the on-set conditions were much harsher than what audiences saw on the small screen." The months-long filming process in the territory of Guadeloupe created a huge gap from the actor's family life in England, making long-term retention of the job a major challenge. When fluctuations in his personal life arose, Ben Miller was forced to make the decision to withdraw from the project in 2013, closing his journey after 2 impressive seasons. Faced with the departure of this key figure, the writing team immediately confronted an extremely difficult plot structure dilemma. They could not simply let a man who had publicly expressed a deep disgust for the island suddenly change his emotions, integrate into the community, and gently pack his bags to return home. Such an easy ending would eclipse the entire psychological depth of the character and destroy the initial setup that the crew had spent so much effort building. For that reason, the production team made an extremely bold move that caused a strong shock in the fan community in January 2014. Instead of having the character transfer or return home through the usual routine, they decided to let Richard Poole permanently stop right in the opening episode of the 3rd season, through a surprising incident occurring at the police station. The decision to eliminate the main character in such a painful way initially encountered a wave of fierce opposition from the audience. Looked at from a professional perspective, that decision served as the crucial lifebuoy determining the survival of the entire franchise. By thoroughly sacrificing the character Richard, the producers established a landmark unwritten rule: no individual is irreplaceable on this island. The shadow of the first detective thereby completely fulfilled its mission, becoming an immutable symbol in the viewer's memories and officially closing the monumental opening chapter of the series. Humphrey Goodman. Entering the subsequent broadcast season immediately following an extremely shocking event, the entire production team had to confront an immensely difficult and delicate problem: finding a new face capable of soothing public opinion and lifting the spirits of viewers. That heavy task was ultimately placed upon the shoulders of actor Kris Marshall, who assumed the crucial role of Detective Inspector Humphrey Goodman. While his predecessor had appeared with an air of rigidity, annoyance, and a constant creation of a vast emotional distance, this fresh face brought an entirely opposite breath of air to the screen. Humphrey emerged as a clumsy, open and somewhat disorganized version of a detective, instead remaining brimming with warmth, deep compassion, and genuine sincerity toward everyone surrounding him on the island. Right from the very first minutes of his appearance on screen, this character carved out a distinct and memorable mark through a truly unconventional working style. He frequently stumbled over his own feet, accidentally dropped items everywhere, fumbled awkwardly in every single movement, and even continuously offered profuse apologies straight to the victims involved in the cases he was actively investigating. Behind that somewhat dazed, distracted, and dull exterior, in contrast, there hid a surprisingly razor-sharp and keen analytical mind that enabled him to unravel every hidden mystery in a truly spectacular fashion. Actor Kris Marshall successfully breathed a fresh source of vibrant energy into the fabric of Death in Paradise, convincingly proving that the television series could completely survive and thrive powerfully even after the sudden departure of its initial central character. Audiences quickly shifted their feelings from initial skepticism to a special profound affection for a detective who knew how to smile warmly and blend seamlessly into the relaxed rhythm of life shared by the local residents. On the other hand, behind all the romanticism and vibrant joy showcased on the small screen, the actor's real-life existence had to face considerable pressures stemming from a prolonged and exhausting filming schedule. The character Humphrey had originally set foot in the tropical region alongside deep emotional brokenness in his marital life and psychological trauma that desperately needed healing, but actor Kris Marshall himself encountered monumental difficulties in trying to strike a healthy balance between his demanding career and his family commitments back home. During an interview conducted with Radio Times magazine, the actor once shared candidly regarding his final decision to leave the popular show, noting, "When your children start school, being away from home 6 months a year becomes impossible to carry out." Due precisely to those practical, unavoidable reasons, the specific timing of closing Humphrey Goodman's journey back in 2017 was carefully handled by the writing team in a direction entirely different from the previous tragic opening sequence. Instead of letting the character encounter unfortunate sudden accidents or quietly transfer to another mundane post in a boring fashion, they chose to craft an open ending brimming with rich humanity and romanticism. Humphrey ultimately decided to give up the sunny tropical island of Sainte Marie to return permanently to his home country in order to pursue the true love of his life, wrapping up years of wandering across distant lands with complete, enduring happiness. This carefully calculated decision not only helped the character achieve a fulfilling conclusion, but it also established an important precedent, demonstrating that detectives could completely depart without ever needing to endure any painful tragedy. The crucial turning point born from that deeply emotional farewell opened up a completely unexpected and brilliant strategic direction for the producers many years down the line. Humphrey's story did not close down permanently the moment he left Sainte Marie, but instead continued to be explored and expanded much more deeply through a popular spin-off series entitled Beyond Paradise. This acclaimed television project definitively proved a brand new truth embedded within the overarching brand structure. A detective could entirely step away from the familiar tropical backdrop to return to a temperate environment without ever losing the deep affection or ongoing attention from loyal audiences worldwide. Jack Mooney. As the wave of personnel changes continued, Sainte Marie Island welcomed a new lead detective carrying entirely different layers of emotion compared to his predecessors. Detective Inspector Jack Mooney, played by talented actor Ardal O'Hanlon, stepped into the tropical region not with annoyance or clumsy troubles carrying surface humor, but with a deep sadness cleverly hidden behind a gentle, kind exterior. Unlike Richard's rigidity or Humphrey's chaos, Jack appeared as an experienced widower carrying calmness, warmth, and a deep natural capacity for empathy toward unfortunate lives around him. The participation of Ardal O'Hanlon brought a fresh breeze thanks to his wealth of acting experience in previously famous television comedy genres, typically the program Father Ted. The production team cleverly utilized the actor's gentleness, charm, and subtle comedic timing to build a character who was both close and profound, without descending into absurdity. Jack approached complex cases by listening attentively to every small detail, patiently conversing with every subject, and letting those around him unintentionally underestimate his sharp, judgmental capacity. This deeply human method of solving cases turned him into a solid spiritual support within the local police station, while creating a quiet internal space to soothe emotional wounds from the past. On the other hand, this sunny and windy island has never been a permanent refuge for those seeking to run away from life's reality. After 4 consecutive seasons attached from 2017 until 2020, the actor officially announced his withdrawal from this television project to seek new directions in his personal artistic career. In an interview published in the prestigious newspaper The Guardian, the actor shared frankly about his decision to stop. "I have had an extremely wonderful and memorable time on the island, but this is the perfect time for me to move on to new horizons and hand over the position to someone else." Regarding plot structure, Jack Mooney's departure was built on an extremely subtle and logical psychological premise. St. Marie initially provided him with a peaceful space, a busy workload, and a connected community to overcome the shock of losing his beloved partner. At the same time, if he continued to stay further, that paradise land could easily turn into a safe waiting room where people immerse themselves in artificial solace while forgetting to keep walking along the path of life. Jack realized that the pain of loss could not be permanently healed merely by brilliant natural scenery or sunset afternoons by the seaside, but required him to bravely face reality to live more fully. Therefore, the ending for character Jack Mooney carried the meaning of recovery and comprehensive awakening without bearing any mournful or extreme regret shade. He decided to proactively leave the Caribbean Sea to return home to reunite with family and re-establish his true rhythm of life after years of putting it aside. This turning point helped the character keep full psychological maturity, closing a chapter of a deeply human journey, and marking a profound low note in the development history of the entire famous television franchise. Neville Parker. When actor Ralf Little stepped onto St. Marie Island in 2020 to embody Detective Inspector Neville Parker, the Death in Paradise franchise entered a very special stage of development. Completely different from predecessors who experienced initial unfamiliarity feelings, Neville seemed born to face torture in this tropical climate. He was allergic to almost everything existing around, from harsh sunlight, excessively high air humidity, small insects, to strange local dishes, and uncertainty in daily living. His entire body and mind continuously emitted strong protest signals against the surrounding living environment, creating an image of the most miserable detective ever brought to the small screen. Instead of maintaining surface comedic situations based on that silly inconvenience, the writing team skillfully turned Neville's fears into an extremely deep, long-term psychological development process. Anxiety disorders, thought to be fatal flaws, instead became the shape of a character with rich and authentic internal depth. From a man shrinking within a small world due to fear of risks and social relationships, Neville was forced to step into the light through tricky cases, unexpected incidents in the police station, painful stumbles, and even unexpected emotional vibrations. The island was no longer a place torturing him with heat, but became a harsh environment full of human warmth to train courage from deep within the soul. The process of attachment, lasting through many seasons, helped Ralf Little surpass the 10-year milestone of all predecessor actors, becoming the face holding the central role longest in the history of the show. At the same time, after 4 years closely attached to the character and the production team, the actor officially announced his farewell to the project in 2024 to seek fresher challenges in his personal acting career. Sharing about the decision to close this long-term journey in an interview with Radio Times, the actor confided, "That was a wonderful time, exceeding expectations. And I feel this is the most perfect and natural time to hand over the stage to the next person." This decision not only marked the end of a stable production phase, but also put an end to the prolonged experiment regarding the long-term character development capability of the hit television franchise. Regarding plot structure, Neville's departure in the 13th season was handled completely and with high symbolism. The decision to leave Sainte Marie with Florence was not an act of running away from inherent fears, like in the beginning, but the first courageous choice the character made by himself for his own happiness. After so many years dominated by insecurity and petty allergies, he finally had enough courage to step into the unknown with the person he loved, closing a spectacular inner transformation journey from a weakling into a man daring to master life. The end of the Neville Parker era proved that Death in Paradise entirely possessed the ability to create long-term psychological shifts for the main character without losing the core identity of the detective film genre. Through that, the image of the fear-filled detective officially closed its mission, leaving a brilliant legacy of courage and positive change in the hearts of numerous loyal television audiences over many years. Mervyn Wilson. When actor Don Gillet officially stepped into the universe of the detective genre as Detective Inspector Mervyn Wilson in 2024, the Death in Paradise franchise reached an interesting self-awareness milestone regarding its own development formula. Watching audiences no longer experience the feeling of unfamiliarity or culture shock before the appearance of a new English face lost in the tropical region, but viewed it as a familiar part of the predetermined cycle of this hit television series. The challenge posed for the production team at this time was not simply replacing an actor for the empty position, but how the fifth character still kept distinct appeal, avoided repeating ruts, and did not become an automatic version of predecessors. Completely different from Richard Poole's rigidity, Humphrey Goodman's romantic clumsiness, Jack Mooney's quiet sadness, or Neville Parker's prolonged anxieties, Mervyn Wilson set foot on Sainte Marie Island with a completely new exterior layer, sharpness, high defensiveness, and a closed attitude toward all external impacts. He did not appear like someone enjoying an unwilling vacation under golden sunshine, but like someone carrying heavy psychological pressures from busy urban life to face an environment demanding absolute openness. The clash between a defensive soul and a residential community, always ready to soften every edge with natural warmth, created a fresh psychological conflict layer for the entire series. This continuous transition process was firmly maintained thanks to the stable presence of the long-standing supporting cast, who played the role of solid memory anchors for the entire franchise. Police Chief Officer Selwyn Patterson, played by Don Warrington, or character Catherine, undertaken by Elizabeth Bourgine, served as living witnesses through each detective era, ensuring that even if the head of the police station changed continuously, the rhythm of life and soul of the island remained intact. Radio Times magazine once reported on this continuous innovation in an article analyzing production strategy, emphasizing that the enduring vitality of the show lay in the delicate balance between the factor of continuous personnel change and the invariance of the local community space here. Thanks to that calculated rotating structure, each detective farewell did not weaken the work. but instead became an important pressure relief valve, helping content never fall into a state of stagnation or repetition. St. Marie Island is not truly a peaceful resort destination for investigators, but a psychological testing space, carrying deep purification. Closing that series of relentless, turbulent days, the show proved that a television work can entirely endure over time if it dares to accept change as an inevitable rule of life, turning every farewell into a meaningful and humane new starting step. Finally, the answer to why every detective successively left St. Marie Island does not lie in weather harshness or tiring filming schedules, but deep within the evolutionary structure of their souls. The island is not a place to settle forever, but a purifying stopover, a perfect test for human fears, rigidity, or deepest loss pains. Once a person has completed the self-healing journey, faced the ego, and become whole, they are forced to step forward to new horizons. That is the secret of endurance for the Death in Paradise franchise over more than a decade of broadcasting. Thank you for accompanying us on this decoding journey. If you love today's content, do not hesitate to click the like button, share the video widely to those sharing the same interests, and press subscribe to the channel so as not to miss the next deep analyses. Please leave a comment below to let us know whose departure of a detective left you with the most emotions and regrets. Hello, and see you again in the next videos.